Hello and welcome. My name is Madeleine Longoria Garcia, and these are our other stories. All right, y'all, that was season 1. We're done. I kind of can't believe it. And season 2 is right around the corner. I also kind of can't believe that. But we are currently working on season 2, getting some recordings done. Also going to have an incredible lineup of people showing up for this one. And I can't wait to continue sharing with you all. And with that, I also wanted to say a huge thank you to every single person who came on the podcast for this first season. You guys jumped right in with me in exploring this whole project, in building this whole thing, in really laying the foundational blocks of what this is going to be. And I have plans, I have ideas, I have things that I want to do with this. I don't want it to be quote unquote just another podcast. I really want this to be an opportunity for folks to connect with each other, to build community, to have conversations, not just me speaking to you and the guests that we have on this podcast, and not just us speaking to you, but really bringing you into the conversation too. So I'm brainstorming ways to do that. I'm hoping something kind of comes together here in the next month and is an opportunity for you to engage more intentionally with this. I really don't know what my expectations were in starting this off, other than just trying to connect with other people and creating a space where folks feel comfortable sharing their stories and discussing these other topics, not just with me, but with you as well. Keep your eyes and ears posted. I will be sharing some things as soon as I can bring some more details together. But for now, I just wanted to thank you for listening and supporting this first season. We have 25 subscribers on Spotify. We have 10 subscribers on YouTube. These are kind of smaller numbers, but this is the beginning of something big. And to me, I'm just happy. I'm stoked to see a few dozen of you who are subscribed to this, and more than that, who are regularly listening in. So if you are listening and you are not subscribed, please do subscribe. It just gives me some more information and helps me really understand who the audience is. And if you are listening, please also rate the podcast, write a review, send me a note, write a comment on one of the episodes. I do read those. I do respond to every single one that has come through so far. I please engage. I am most active with the podcast through Instagram, which is at ourother.stories. I also post on other social media channels like LinkedIn and TikTok. And it is also Our Other Stories on those platforms as well. So TikTok is also at ourother.stories. Yeah, I just hope to get to know you all better too. And I would love to connect with folks who are listening to this. If you want to come on and share something, we are for the next season going to continue on with this idea of themes. And for season 2, we almost have a full roster of folks already lined up. But if there's something that you want to talk about, or an aspect of your life that you are ready to share, please reach out and I can bring you into a future episode, a future season. As I said previously, at the beginning of this first season, I don't know if I'm going to continue doing themes for each one. It just felt right for this first season, and it is feeling right for this second season. Again, a lot of this is being triggered by the timeline of things that are happening in our world, and just the season of things in my life. So that's why it feels right to have themes right now. But I do feel like we will move on from that in a future space and time. And this is how I even had some of the guests participate in this first season. Adriana, she reached out to me and it just worked out perfectly that I had this extra space available and she just came right in and it was the perfect timing and exactly what needed to happen. And I know that that wasn't just a coincidence. I'm so glad that this podcast thus far had resonated with her, that she was like, I'm ready to talk about this and I'm ready to share this and have this conversation. So yes, again, I invite you, if you have something like that you want to talk about, please do reach out. Other ways that you can participate and support, I started building a newsletter and I did nothing with it, but I am actually going to launch this newsletter this week. There are links in my bio on Instagram to sign up for that newsletter. So please go ahead and check that out. Again, at OurOther.stories is the profile there on Instagram. And I also started a Patreon, which again, I did nothing with, but it's getting built out. These are my goals this month, and the Patreon is going to get built out. And the benefits of that, I mean, really, you are supporting me as a creator of this podcast, as the person who is building this whole thing on their own without any fancy production company behind me or any big sponsor or anything like that, or any team. It is me who's creating every single aspect of this. That's the one big thing, is that you can feel good about supporting my work going toward this. But 2, I will be releasing episodes there early. And 3, I am planning on creating direct engagement opportunities with guests who opt into doing that kind of thing with you all as listeners. So there will be opportunities where we will do Q&As. We will have additional conversations that we post in there. I will be creating extra content to go in there as well. So those are the kinds of things that you can expect to see in the Patreon. I will have varying levels, but everybody will have access to the same things. And that's really just the varying levels of contribution through Patreon is just what you feel like contributing and what you feel like, spending to receive these extra pieces of content and the early access to the podcast episodes. So those are the things that I'm working on this month, in addition to recording and prepping and launching season 2, which is, again, like I said, coming up very quickly and very soon. But I'm excited for this all. And yeah, I'm going to be kept a little busy working on all of that. I'm just looking forward to seeing what else comes of this. So I am also challenging myself to get better about making those calls to action during and after each episode, where I will ask you to subscribe and rate and review the podcast, to write in a comment, to follow us on social media, to engage with us on social media, and to support the podcast if you have the capacity to do so through these other means of subscribing to the newsletter, subscribing to our Patreon, and supporting in those ways. So as we wrap this up, again, I wanted to say a huge thank you to every single person who came on the podcast this first season. I look back on what we've created in the last 2 months. It's been 2 full months, over 2 months of this podcast so far, and it's incredible. And the feedback that I've received from folks, even through phone calls and text messages and DMs on Instagram, has been really wonderful and lovely. And I appreciate you all for those kind words. And I hope you all have enjoyed this journey with us as well, because it really has been a whole journey, and we've experienced together the whole range of emotions, from laughter on this podcast to crying on this podcast. And I know that there is more of all of those things to come. And that's the point, because as I said from the beginning, the point is to reconnect with our humanity, to reconnect with seeing the humanness in every single person who we encounter, every single stranger who we pass by on any given day, and trying to stay connected to that, because it's really easy to get disconnected from it. So staying connected to our humanity and seeing the humanity in every other person every day, because that's what keeps us who we are. That's what makes us who we are. And I want this project, I want this podcast to be that weekly reminder for you that there may be strangers all around us, but we do have common threads connecting us. And our differences are also worth exploring and understanding, because it helps us better see each other as more than strangers. Again, this is inspired by Sonder. Sonder is the realization that every passing person on the street is living a life just as vivid and complex as your own. And you are only seeing one tiny window into that life. And think about that in your own life. Like, how many people do you brush by on any given day, and they have no inkling to what you may be experiencing in that moment, in that year? And what could this life and what could this world be like if we had that intentional thought of, I actually don't know what this person is going through, but I know that they are human and I can relate on that level at least? How would our world function maybe a little bit differently if we all shared that? And it's hard. It's hard when other people don't share that around you and you are the one who's trying to do that. It's really hard. But I do believe that the more we remind ourselves and each other of these things and how important they are, the wider that thought process expands and the more prevalent it becomes. And maybe that is the ripple effect to have greater impact. So season 1 is pow. Season 1 is wrapped up. Yeah, I just want to leave you with the reminder and the thought and the realization that there are immigrant stories all around you. And even from the corners and the people who you might not expect it, the people who don't have accents, the people who do have accents, the people who maybe look different from what you picture as an immigrant, the people who are extremely accomplished, people who are not so accomplished. Immigrant stories are everywhere. And I invite you to also explore this in your own story. Where does your family come from? Where have you traveled around the world? Where have you moved? Where have you picked up your life and reestablished it elsewhere? Has that been easy? What was that process like? What does it feel like to go through that? Or what does it feel like to have the conversations with your family members who have done that, with your friends who have done that, with your neighbors, your coworkers, the strangers in your life? What is that whole experience of completely uprooting your life and going to a different place in the hopes of better opportunity, in the hopes of building something stronger, in the hopes of finding more stability? Because immigration doesn't have to be just about crossing these quote unquote political borders, but it could be as simple as moving from one state or province to another, moving from one city to another. That is the act of migration. That is emigrating. And I know in my life, I've done that many times, and I will share more about that throughout this podcast, throughout the life of this podcast. Again, this is the whole point. And the whole point, too, is to have the same guests on multiple times over the lifetime of this podcast so they can have that same opportunity, too. Yeah, you will start to see how my life has changed and been shaped in so many ways by these many moves I have made around the world, and how that shifts perspective and how it impacts just the way that I see things. So, yes, I will be sharing a lot more of those stories to come. And I hope that you have the opportunity to reflect on this and start asking these different questions to the folks who you encounter in your life, and not shy away from it, not be too afraid to ask the questions or even lead the conversation with that in yourself. And so this podcast really is kind of answering that question of, who am I? Who are you? In all of the ways, all of the layers and all of the unfolding, who do all of these layers make up? And who are you? And I am really looking forward to sharing more of that with you all. And I'm really looking forward to hearing more about that from other folks and from you, and continuing to share these conversations to a broader audience. So, season 2 will be launching on September 15th, and it's going to be a shorter season where we will end by mid-October, but we are going to have just as many episodes. So there will also be 10 episodes, just condensed to a shorter period of time. So we will have 2 episodes coming out each week. These will also be guest episodes. I will have a couple of solo episodes sprinkled in there as well. This is the general format that I'll be keeping for the podcast. I will introduce each season on my own, using my own story as the catalyst for entering into the new season, bringing on all of these incredible guests to talk about, yes, this theme, but really allowing them to have the space to explore different topics if they'd like to. And then I will be closing out our season as well with a solo episode and little recap of everything, and letting you know maybe what's coming next too. September 15th, season 2 will begin, and I cannot wait. The folks who are coming on the podcast for season 2, I mean, just as exciting as the folks who were here for season 1. And yeah, I've been really enjoying these opportunities also to connect with these folks further, because they are people who are in my life in one way or another. And some of them I've known for years. Some of them I've only known for a couple of months. And so it's really exciting to just see how this brings people together. I am going to continue inviting you into this conversation. Please don't be shy. Please don't hesitate to reach out. If you don't want to, post publicly somewhere, send me a direct message, send me a DM, whatever you want to do, reach out. I'd love to have conversations with you all. And this is just a little short and sweet episode to wrap up season 1. I do want to remind you all, please, please, please go to the show notes of episode 9 with Joan and access the custom trance recording that she has made for you specifically as a listener of our other stories, because it is powerful. And we navigated some heavy topics in this first season, in addition to the joy that was found and experienced throughout all of those conversations too. But I am so grateful to Joan for offering this to you, and I really want you to take advantage of that offering. So please go to the show notes of episode 9, access that gift from Joan. You can also find it linked in my bio on Instagram at ourother.stories. and you will find the link to Joan's recording. So please take advantage of that tool and that exercise. I did a session with Joan and it was so transformative. And I want more people to have access to these kinds of tools and exercises and things in their life to help us move through the stickier parts and have these healthy tools to do so on a regular basis, because there will always be sticky parts in life. This is a whole like therapeutic process too. And that's, again, the goal. I find that building community and having true, authentic connection with the people around you is like therapy. It feeds my soul. And I know that it feeds the souls of so many other people. And I want to contribute to that for you, for me, for every single guest on this podcast, for every single person who encounters even a snippet of an episode. This is for you. And that's all I really have for you. I didn't prep out a whole script or anything for this. I just wanted to come on and do a little recap. And again, thank you for listening. Thank you to each and every one of the guests. They are all amazing. If you haven't listened to all of the episodes, please, I know that they're long. But they're so good. They're so good. And I have enjoyed re-listening to each and every episode. I go through all of the same emotions every time. I find myself, it's very funny, reacting in similar ways as I am in the recording every single time. Yeah, it's been a journey. Thank you for listening. My name is Madeleine Longoria Garcia, and these are our other stories. You can stream this podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, AntennaPod, and YouTube, and anywhere else you stream your podcasts. Please follow us on Instagram and TikTok at our_other.stories. You can also find us on LinkedIn. And don't forget to check out the links in my bio to sign up for our newsletter and soon to come Patreon account. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful